Welcome to Skinner and Chalmers' Weekly Roast. Today Flightless, but not Groundless. 100 episodes, 100 memories.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our very first edition of Skinner Chalmers' Weekly Roast, a podcast where only the steamiest topics are discussed. I'm Superintendent Chalmers, and by my side is my longtime, loyal, and truly heartwarming friend, Principal Seymour Skinner. Welcome, Seymour. Nice to have you here.
Oh, wow, what now? What an inspiring introduction and announcement. Now, I don't even know if I can live up to the promises when you butter me up so much.
That's no understatement.
Oh, gosh, thank you so much. And yes, thanks to you, too, for letting me be part of it. I have to say, the introduction for our first episode went really well.
Oh, yes, and how well it went, Seymour. How well it went. 100 episodes, guys.
100.
100!
100 episodes.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
Indeed, it's hard to imagine we're doing this for already more than 2 years. Every Monday, just 1 or 2 Mondays skipped, but otherwise, every Monday. Gary, do you understand what that number means? Do you feel the weight of it? The magnitude.
I feel it. I've been feeling it since Friday evening when I sat down to write some notes together with Dizenzo for today and realized I'd filled 4 pages before I even got to the main topic.
4 pages? Gary wrote 4 pages of notes for episode 100. I wrote a list on my hand and then washed it off by accident.
That is the most accurate summary of how we each approach this podcast that has ever been articulated.
I'm Gary Chalmers and I write 4 pages.
And I'm Seymour Skinner and I wash my preparation off in the sink. Good evening, Memfield.
We've been very creative with this little twist for the greeting in episode 100, guys.
Indeed, and we don't even need to write down the introduction for our opening anymore. In the very first episode we did, I was quite nervous, honestly, and it took 3 takes to get it right. But here we are again, dear listeners. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to episode 100 of the Skinner and Chalmers Weekly Roast.
What a crazy number. We started this thing just over 2 years ago. 2 years! Do you remember what the world looked like 2 years ago, Gary?
I remember it very clearly, and I remember thinking this podcast idea is either going to be lovely or a complete disaster.
And what's your conclusion now?
It was both, in the best possible way. It's a lovely project we've created here on Earth today.
That is the kindest review we have ever received, and it came from you, which makes it mean the most.
Don't make it a thing, but honestly, the best reviews are from you guys out there, and some of you gave us 5 stars on Spotify. That really means the world to us.
Very, very true. But I'm still making it a thing. Listeners, Gary Chalmers said it was lovely. Archive that. Frame it. Put it on a rock somewhere significant.
Let's get into it.
So, we had a lot of ideas for episode 100. A lot of ideas, not just 4 pages. Gary, do you want to walk through some of the ones that didn't make it?
With pleasure. Option 1, an FAQ episode conducted by Dizenzo in which listeners submitted questions and we answered them.
Which sounded wonderful in theory.
And then we remembered that Dizenzo's questions, when left unsupervised, tend to escalate rapidly from, "What's your favorite season?" to, "If you had to fight one geological era, which would it be and why and how it's connected to modern art?"
He sent us the draft question list. It was 14 pages.
Dizenzo is very thorough.
We love Dizenzo, but that was maybe a bit too much for us.
We love Dizenzo enormously, but yeah, maybe a bit too ambitious. Option 2, a trip to Memfield High School. Alive from the school podcast episode. Tour the building. Say hello to Monty Python the Python, our newest school mascot.
Monty is always available. He has no pressing schedule.
Yeah, revisit the gymnasium where the Meme Falcon used to do his flyovers, stand in front of the trophy cabinet where he made his final landing.
Still gets me.
And perhaps check that the chef's hat is still in Seymour's office.
It's still there.
It's still there, and it's weighted big, like ridiculously big, like the hat from Zeph in One Piece that reaches to the sky. Anyways, option 3, a full steamed hams reenactment, the original meme. Live. Seymour as Skinner, me as Chalmers, the whole thing, Aurora Borealis, regional dialect, crusty burgers. The works?
This option was on the table for days, Gary.
It was genuinely tempting.
We nearly did it.
Nearly. But then we thought for episode 100, what do we actually want? What feels right?
And the answer was something that's us. Something's that's deeply connected with the podcast. So there was only one right answer: go back to the beginning.
Go back to where it all started, which was a Halloween party, a penguin costume, a flight of stairs, and two people who had absolutely no idea what they were doing with a podcast.
No idea whatsoever. But our title was great. I remember Luna telling us how incredible that one was.
Flightless Frolics, the penguin, the superintendent, and the stairs. What a title for a liftoff. And yet here we are, episode 100. Still hard to believe.
Right. So, for anyone who hasn't heard it, and if you haven't, go back and listen. It's episode 1. It's right there. The very first episode of this podcast was about Gary dressing up as a penguin for a school Halloween party and falling down the stairs.
I remember being so nervous about whether anyone would actually listen.
We recorded episode 1 and then sat there afterward going, well, that happened. We did that. And now it's out there.
I remember thinking if 10 people hear this, that's 10 more than expected.
And people did listen. From the very beginning. Which still baffles me on a daily basis and fills me with an immense warmth that I cannot fully put into words.
It fills me with something, too. I choose to call it gratitude because that's the accurate word, and I believe in accurate words.
Gratitude. Yes, enormous, ongoing, daily gratitude.
Right. Now, episode 1, we've told the story, but there are things we have never said on this podcast, things that happened around that Halloween party that didn't make it into the original episode. And today felt like the right time.
Behind the scenes. We're going behind the scenes.
Yes, try to contain yourself, honey.
I cannot contain myself, Gary. It's episode 100.
Fair enough.
Okay, first behind the scenes detail, the penguin costume. Where it actually came from.
In the original episode, I mentioned I'd seen a penguin documentary and been inspired. Which is true, but what I did not mention is that the costume itself was acquired in a rather specific way.
Tell them, Gary. People need to know.
I found it on the Memfield Community Notice Board. Someone was selling it for $8. The listing said, barely used, one previous owner, slight smell of fish, inquire within. I inquired within.
Slight smell of fish.
It was a minor olfactory characteristic, Seymour. It aired out.
Did it fully air out?
It was less noticeable by the party. I received no formal complaints about it.
Swampy told me afterward that he smelled something unusual from across the street that night and assumed it was one of my cooking experiments escaping through a window.
Swampy was being polite.
Swampy was being extraordinarily polite, yes.
Anyways, the creator of this penguin costume was actually a very skilled woman that also creates various fursuits for people. A skill I have highly respect for it.
These things normally cost at least several hundreds, if not thousands of dollars.
Indeed, so I was more than happy to actually grab it for $8. It was a no-brainer, and it was perfect for a great story.
Indeed, moving on second behind the scenes detail. And this is one that, Gary, I don't know if you know this one.
If it involves something you did without telling me, I'm already preparing my response.
It involves something I did for you. That I mentioned very briefly in a later episode, but never fully explained.
Oh, honey, you mean my trick-or-treat bucket?
The bucket, indeed.
Seymour, that was...
So, in episode 1, Gary mentioned that the pumpkin candy bucket he was carrying when he fell, which broke in the fall, had been made for him by a student during the early days of 3D printing. A study project. The student had printed it and given it to Gary as a gift, and Gary had carried it to every Halloween event for years. And when he fell and landed on it, it broke, and that was hard. In a quiet way, not the kind of hard you say out loud necessarily, but I knew.
You knew. It meant a lot to me. Remembered me to the old days as a lecturer at university.
I swept up the pieces. I said I was cleaning up. I was also keeping them. I kept every fragment of that bucket, Gary.
I didn't know that before.
I kept them in an envelope in my desk at school, and about 3 months after Halloween, I brought the fragments in and I started a project with some of the senior pupils in our technology group. We researched 3D printing filament recovery, because you can, under the right conditions, recycle and re-melt PLA filament, and I tasked the students with reverse engineering the original design from the fragments and from a photograph I'd found that you'd taken of the bucket one Halloween about 4 years earlier.
Seymour, that's actually the nicest thing a husband can imagine.
It took them 11 weeks. There were false starts. One student produced a version that was technically a bucket, but slightly resembled a compressed hat. Another's was accurate, but approximately 3 times the scale, which I admired but which was impractical, because we needed way more new filament for that one. But I wanted to keep the original filament as high as possible. And then one of the year 11s, lovely girl, very precise, had a real instinct for it. She got it. She got it right. The proportions, the carved face, the little ridge around the rim. And the whole group, all 8 of them, stood around it when it came off the printer, and they were proud. They were genuinely, properly proud.
When you gave it to me, Seymour, I almost cried.
I brought it home in a box, and I put it on the kitchen table, and I said, I had some help, and you opened it. And
I actually cried.
you cried, I counted, 47 seconds before you said anything. And then you said, this is the most considerate thing anyone has ever done for me. And I said, don't tell that to my cooking. And you laughed and then cried a bit more.
The cooking comment was well timed.
I knew the moment needed a landing, Gary. I'm a man of instinct.
The bucket is on the shelf in the study. For listeners who've ever visited us and wondered what that orange thing on the shelf behind us is, it's that bucket. It's been there since Seymour gave it back to me. I'm not moving it.
It's not going anywhere.
It's not going anywhere. But I still use it for Halloween, but I'm very careful.
And maybe not dressing up as a penguin again.
And maybe that as well.
There's one more thing about that Halloween that I want to share that has never been on this podcast, and it's small. But I like small things that turn out to be significant.
Go on.
So, when you fell, and you got up, and Principal King helped you, and you said you were fine, do you remember what you said to me specifically about an hour later when we were at the buffet table?
I think I was complaining about the potato casserole being slightly underseasoned.
Before that,
I honestly don't remember. It's been too long, actually.
you came and stood next to me and you looked at the room. All the costumes, all the decorations, the music going, everyone in a good mood. And you said, very quietly, I'm glad we came.
I said that.
With a slightly bruised back, holding a cracked pumpkin bucket held together by wishful thinking, in a penguin costume that smelled mildly of the sea. You said, I'm glad we came. And I thought, this man finds his joy in spite of things. He doesn't wait for things to be perfect. He shows up and he finds the good thing in the room and he says, I'm glad I'm here.
Well, I was glad. It was a good night.
It was a great night. And it turned into a great episode. And that turned into 99 more. And here we are.
Here we are.
Okay, right, GHT? Because we cannot spend the whole episode making Gary cry.
I am not crying by remembering the pumpkin bucket.
We are going to do what we promised, a look back at 2 years of this ridiculous, wonderful, improbable podcast. Gary, you have 4 pages of notes.
I have 4 pages of notes.
And I have what I remember, which is actually quite a lot, it turns out. Some things stick.
Some things stick. All right, where do we start?
Sparkle Dog.
His favorite food is what?
It's a can of sparkle.
Right, so episode 9. For listeners who are new, episode 9 was the first time we introduced a character from the wider Memifield extended universe who was not us. Sparkle Dog, a creature of indeterminate origin and very certain opinions. Specifically, opinions about food.
Sparkle Dog's favorite food is, and I want to say this clearly and with conviction, because it deserves full commitment.
A can of sparkle.
A can of sparkle, not a food that exists in our kitchen, not a flavor that has been defined. A can of spark. And Sparkle Dog explained this to us with complete sincerity, and we sat there and nodded as though it was the most natural thing we'd ever heard.
Because in the context of Memfield, by episode 9, it was the most natural thing we'd heard. I mean, there was a furry convention in that episode as well, in your kitchen. A full convention.
That was the moment I knew this podcast had found its tone. We had a creature tell us his favorite food was a can of sparkle, and our response was enthusiastic follow-up questions.
What does sparkle taste like? I asked.
And Sparkle Dog said,
Like winning, but and a bit for yip, yip, whoop, whoop.
That's in the archive forever. That's in the permanent record of this podcast, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Next, episode 14.
Our first guest, The first time someone from outside Memifield, or well, from beyond the usual neighborhood, Memetopia to be clear, joined us properly on the show.
Echo from Overwatch, and I want to say, for the record, 2 years later, Echo was an impeccable guest, prepared, articulate, warm, funny in that very precise way she has, where the joke lands about a second after she's said it, and then you're still thinking about it 3 minutes later.
She sent us a message beforehand asking if there were any topics we'd prefer to avoid, and we said, probably don't bring up that Echo bursts in with breaking news about Roboskinner. And she said, I have no clue what you're talking about, and kept her word entirely.
She's a good guest. We should have her back. But yes, that Overwatch Roboskinner thing was a MemedHam's original one from ArticTiger's Twitch stream.
We should absolutely have her back. Echo, if you're listening, and she probably is, she listens to everything, she has that capacity. Please come back for episode 200. It's been a while we've seen each other.
That's 100 episodes away. Seymour.
I'm booking in advance. I'm a planner.
You washed your notes off your hand this morning.
I plan emotionally, Gary. The logistics are handled by others.
Right, so episode 15, the first audiobook.
The Forbidden Book Chronicles, with Yugi, Sonic, Shadow, and my former evil twin Roboskinner.
For those who don't know, the Forbidden Book Chronicles was the story of Skinner, Chalmers, and their wider Memfield community working together to ban a banned book from their world. A book about devilishly good vegan treats, which sounds absurd until you read the thing and understand why it was causing problems.
And Roboskinner was involved, in a cooperative capacity, which at that point was new territory.
It was. That audiobook was important for a lot of reasons. It was the first time Dizenzo really let himself loose creatively as a producer. You could hear the difference in production. There was something more textured about it.
Dizenzo put so much love into that. He always does, but that one was special.
It was the foundation of everything that came after, especially the final artwork series.
But before we come to that, next is episode 16, the Gigglewood Resort Community Meetup.
Now that was something wonderful.
That was something, Gary. An amusement park, with listeners, with people who had been following us since the beginning and came out to spend a day with us at Gigglewood.
I went on one ride, a relatively modest carousel, and I maintain that the slight geological irregularity of the track was a design flaw and not a reaction on my part.
He made a noise on the carousel.
The track was uneven.
He made a small noise of surprise when it picked up speed.
It accelerated unexpectedly.
And then he spent the rest of the day in complete authority reviewing the park's infrastructure, and I have never loved him more.
I did enjoy the day, genuinely. Meeting people who'd been listening, who knew the podcast, who had opinions about episodes, who quoted things back at us that we'd said and half forgotten. That was extraordinary. That was when it stopped feeling like something we were doing into a void and started feeling like something we were doing together. With all of you.
With all of you, yes. That was the moment for me, too.
I think the next milestone was episode 20.
The Science of Sleep.
The Science of Sleep, which was, in hindsight, also the episode that was accidentally a love letter from Dizenzo to science, who was writing his examination paper on the subject of sleep science at university at that time.
We didn't plan that. We chose the topic because we'd both been having unusual sleep weeks. Mine due to the Roomba incident that shall not be named.
The Roomba found the stairs.
Yeah, at 2 in the morning. Yes, and decided that this was an appropriate time to assess the structural integrity of each step individually.
And mine because Krakatoa had been rumbling more than usual, and I was monitoring the barometric log.
We did the sleep episode, and Dizenzo messaged us afterward and said, what was it?
He said, I've been writing my examination paper for 5 months, and you two covered half my literature review in about 18 minutes. I'm not sure how to feel about that.
Which we took as a compliment.
Which we absolutely took as a compliment. Dizenzo finished his paper. He did brilliantly. He graduated with excellent results. We are very proud of him, even though he has never once asked for our pride and probably doesn't need it.
He has it anyway, unconditionally. And even for him, the last 2 years were a lot of events.
Indeed, graduating from university, new flat, new job, new life, basically.
He worked as a teacher like we still do. Or, well, sometimes.
Very rare. As superintendent or principal, you're barely teaching anymore. But yes, he worked as a teacher. Got through a lot mentally, but at the end chose his own path for physical and mental health and decided to stop working at school.
A very first step, but a step he is now more than glad he did. He is so much happier now in life, not always having these big thoughts. We're happy for him.
We are, and he still teaches, but in his pace, with his topics and interests. You could even visit him in one of his lectures, but for that, you need to travel to Germany.
Right, probably a quite big journey just for that. But anyways, next milestone. The Tomodachi Life era.
The Tomodachi Life Let's Play, to be more accurate.
The 3DS version. Which, and this still surprises me, people are still talking about, still coming in and asking about a new episode. Still wanting more of it?
It was a special thing, watching tiny digital versions of ourselves and our friends living their little Tomodachi lives on a handheld console. There was something deeply cozy about it. Low stakes, domestic, quiet, kind of funny.
The digital Chalmers refused to eat the meal the digital Skinner prepared for him 3 times in a row, and I took that extremely personally.
The game is simply very realistic.
Hey, Gary.
I'm joking, Seymour.
Are you, though?
The game is very well designed. And to our listeners who keep asking, yes, we know the new Tomodachi Life for the Switch exists. Yes, we want to play it. Yes, eventually we will. There are simply logistical considerations, unfortunately.
We need equipment. We need time. We need funds, if we're being honest.
Which we are, because we're always honest on this podcast, even when it's slightly embarrassing.
And we need to find a window where neither of us is dealing with a Roomba on a staircase or an alligator on a hedge, and those windows have historically been narrow.
But it will happen, I'm sure.
It will happen, we promise. Not today, but it will happen, and it will be very amazing.
You know what was also very amazing? The Advent Specials, December 2024.
The Advent Specials. Oh yeah, what a cozy time.
The short stories, the little Christmas pieces, each one set in Memfield during the 2024 Christmas season. DeZenzo wrote and produced them with, honestly, an attention to seasonal atmosphere that I found remarkable.
I think my favorite was the Snow Globe story one, with that mysterious magician.
That one got to me. Fun fact, we were inspired by the show Once Upon a Time for that one. DeZenzo and we have started re-watching that show.
And then, after some time, the final artwork.
The final artwork. What a ride.
DeZenzo's masterpiece. 7 episodes. An audiobook series of, I'm not going to undersell it, genuine depth and craft and love. 7 episodes that DeZenzo poured himself into. That we poured ourselves into.
The series in which we met Zach, who was then York, who is our friend, who turned up in the final artwork with the full weight of his history and his strangeness and his very particular way of being in a room.
He talks to coffee in a way that I find deeply relatable.
And who has been part of our world ever since.
And Master Chief, who, if you told me before the final artwork that Master Chief would be the source of genuinely affecting emotional moments in an audio drama series set in and around Memfield, I would have said, yes, actually, that sounds right. This is Memfield.
The scene in episode 5, where Chief just sits and doesn't say anything, and that's the whole scene for a moment.
That's the whole scene, and it's perfect.
DeZenzo understood something important there. Sometimes silence is the loudest choice.
We said it in the Night Market episode, and we'll say it again. DeZenzo is one of the most creative people we know. The final artwork exists because of his love for these characters and this world, and if you haven't listened to it, go back. Start from the beginning. Give it your time. It deserves your time.
Speaking about the final artwork series, there's something else from the archive. Something we want to address honestly, because this episode is about honesty as well.
Yes, this one's important.
When we were still finding our footing technically and creatively for the podcast, there were episodes where voices for characters like Echo, Anna, and York were generated using a program called RVC, a voice conversion tool trained on recordings of their actual voice actors.
At the time, it felt like a fun gimmick, a clever little technical trick to honor the original, amazing work of the voice actors, and we didn't think too hard about what it meant actually.
We're thinking about it now, and we're not proud of it.
The world has changed considerably since then. AI and voice technology have moved to a point where voice actors, real people, with careers and livelihoods and craft and talent, are genuinely under threat of being replaced. And looking back at what we did then, even with the best intentions, even on a small scale, we don't want to have been part of that, even a little, even accidentally.
DeZenzo has reflected on this as well, because he was the one doing the technical work. And he wanted it said clearly on this podcast in his own way. Through us, he's sorry. We're sorry. It was a gimmick that we've since understood differently, and we won't be returning to it that way. We still use the open source software and RVC, but we're not taking real people's voices anymore.
Every voice you hear in this podcast going forward is either our own, or a voice built from scratch. Original, not borrowed from someone else's performance without their consent.
Voice actors do something irreplaceable. The humanity in a performance. The specific weight a real person brings to a line. That's not a resource to be extracted. It belongs to the person who made it.
We're still developing. We're still learning. And part of being 100 episodes in is being honest about the full journey, including the parts you would do differently.
So, that said it needed to be said.
It did.
Right, now, I want to talk about the foam head.
Oh no, luckily Yugi isn't here.
We have to talk about the foam head. My foam head from the attic. The one you and our friends made while I was on a flight. For the benefit of anyone who missed it and whose day is about to become significantly better, at some point in the past 2 years, a very large foam replica of my head came loose from its storage position, rolled across the attic floor, hit the hatch, knocked the hatch open, and descended the attic stairs at considerable speed before exiting through the front door, which was open because Cogsworth was bringing in deliveries, and rolling approximately 40 meters down our street.
Where it came to rest against Sonic's hedge.
Where it came to rest against Sonic's hedge, yes.
Which Sonic initially mistook for a new threat from the alligators.
He messaged me, Gary. There is a giant face on my hedge. Is this yours? And I had to respond, yes. I'm sorry. We'll come and get it.
It blocked traffic for an hour because the road is quite narrow at that section, and a giant foam head of the superintendent takes up more lateral space than you'd think.
Van Gogh arrived on the scene within minutes. Officially, as mayor, I believe they issued a statement.
They stood in front of the foam head and looked at it for a very long time with their rectangular eyes, and then turned around and went home without saying anything.
Which was, in context, the most politically appropriate response possible.
The foam head is back in the attic, listeners. Secured now, Gary made sure of it.
3 separate fastening mechanisms, industrial grade. Cogsworth supervised the installation. The union filed the appropriate completion paperwork.
Memfield safe. Actually, Memfield, which gets us to ArticTiger's MemedHamsAI stream.
Oh, the stream.
The Twitch stream where ArticTiger trained an AI on family videos. With our blessing, I want to stress, fully consensual.
Fully our idea. In fact, we were delighted by it.
And the digital versions of us endlessly regenerated the steamed hams meme, in infinite variations, for hours. Just us, in digital form, perpetually surprised by the aurora borealis, and perpetually explaining away culinary disasters as regional dialect.
It was deeply, deeply funny. It was also in some philosophical sense that Mary could probably articulate better than I can, slightly uncanny. Watching a version of yourself that doesn't know it's a version of yourself doing what you do.
Mary did articulate it, actually. She said, "The copy does not diminish the original. It reflects it, and sometimes a reflection sees things the face cannot."
I put that on a piece of paper, and it's been on my desk since.
ArticTiger's stream was one of the great creative acts that emerged from this community. And the fact that ArticTiger is also the town's pope is something that still makes every single day of my life more interesting.
He's an institution, in every sense.
Pope Tiger, with a former Twitch channel, in Memfield. We are so lucky. It was a great time.
Right? I want to be a little bit serious for a moment, and then we'll come back.
Okay.
2 years, and the world, the actual world out there, beyond Memfield, has been a lot. It has been genuinely, substantially a lot. The political situation in multiple countries has been alarming. Things that felt stable have felt less stable. Democracy, and I say this as someone who believes in systems and institutions, who has dedicated his career to the idea that organized structures serve people. Democracy has had a difficult time in various parts of the world.
It has, sadly. Extreme right-wing parties are winning more and more influence.
Also, AI has become enormous. The technology that was already remarkable when we started this podcast has grown at a rate that I find genuinely difficult to contextualize. The world of work is changing in ways that nobody has fully mapped yet. There are people listening to this right now who are navigating real uncertainty about what the future looks like, economically, politically, professionally.
It's a lot to carry, honestly, but we hope that our podcast maybe gives you some space to escape from the real-world drama.
We truly hope. But here is what I also know, having spent 2 years sitting in this room talking into a microphone with Seymour Skinner by my side. The things that sustain you during hard times are not usually the big things. They're the small, consistent, warm things, the things that are reliably there, a voice you recognize, a joke that lands, a community that shows up.
And a podcast about a penguin costume and a superintendent falling down some stairs that somehow became this.
That somehow became this. Yes, whatever this is, 100 episodes of two people and their strange town, and their talking skeleton, and their inflatable swan, and their alligators, and their falcon in a midlife crisis, and their ball python mascot, and all of it, it exists. It's real. And for at least some number of people in the world, it is a thing that's theirs. A corner of something warm that they return to.
Gary,
I'm not done yet.
Sorry, go ahead.
We are not going to fix the world from this living room. We know that. But we can be consistent. We can show up. We can keep making this thing with honesty and care and the kind of warmth that, I believe, Seymour brings naturally and that I've been slowly learning to express over the past 2 years, whether I like it or not.
You've always had it, Gary. I've always known it was there.
And to everyone out there who is finding things difficult right now, we see you. We don't know your specific circumstances, but we know that you chose to spend some of your time, some of the finite, irreplaceable hours of your life, listening to this podcast, and that means something to us. That means quite a lot to us, actually.
I second everything Gary just said, and I'll add you are part of Memefield, wherever you are, whatever's happening out there. This little town has room for everyone, and it always will. Right. One last thing before we sign off on episode 100.
Go on, Seymour. I also have talked quite a bit for the last few minutes.
I want to say something about the listeners, not generally, specifically, because we have, over 2 years, come to know people, real people, who have names and usernames and pronouns and favorite episodes and opinions about Monty Python, the snake, and theories about Mimed. Hams and feelings about the night market and genuine, personal investment in Memfield. Purple Tomberry, Shia Fox, Loomis of Failing, La Pepitadero Official, Rachel Rocks, Ladza Van Goat, the mayor, yes, but also the listener, ArticTiger, who is somehow both Pope and community member simultaneously.
That's the nature of ArticTiger.
Luna, who once gifted us Mary Baron von Floatsalat, which means Luna is indirectly responsible for some of the most profound philosophical content this podcast has produced.
Luna is indirectly responsible for the phrase "love makes one title." Yes.
Sue Who Bites, Magpie 1862, Trados, Deputies Kids for Life, and everyone who has ever left a comment or a thumbs up or a kind word or a weird theory in the discussion.
Every single one of those interactions has been read, every comment, every message. We may not always respond promptly, and I will acknowledge that my response rate has historically been affected by ongoing geological survey commitments.
He reads them. He shows me the good ones at breakfast.
But they are seen, you are seen, and we are grateful for every single one.
We could not have made 100 episodes without you. We simply couldn't. Not because of the numbers, but because of the energy. Because knowing that people are out there listening, caring, laughing, thinking, that's what fills the room before we start recording. That's the warmth in the room before a single word is said.
That's well put. Seymour.
Thank you, Gary.
Episode 100. We started with a penguin costume and a broken bucket and two people who had no idea what they were doing.
And we ended up here, 100 episodes later, with a talking skeleton who posts on gardening forums, a conscious inflatable swan who thinks in tidal metaphors, a pet volcano who responds to barometric pressure, a falcon on a coastal sabbatical, a ball python consultant, an amusement park reunion, an audiobook series we're proud of, a foamhead incident we've made peace with, and more friends than we could have imagined.
The world is strange right now, but we have each other. You have your friends, family, and also us. And we have all of you.
And we intend to keep going, week by week, episode by episode, for as long as this ridiculous, wonderful, improbable thing keeps being what it is.
Which is, I want to say this very clearly on the record for episode 100, something I'm proud of. This podcast is something I'm genuinely, straightforwardly proud of.
He said it. Gary Chalmers said he's proud of the podcast. Listeners, we are making history within the history episode.
Don't push it.
Thank you, Gary. I'm proud of it, too. I'm proud of all of it. And I'm proud of you. And I love you. And this is getting sentimental, so let's close before I cry.
You're already crying.
A little. A tasteful amount.
It's allowed. It's episode 100.
It's episode 100. I'm Seymour Skinner.
I'm Gary Chalmers.
And this has been the Skinner and Chalmers Weekly Roast. 100 episodes of the steamiest topics in Memafield and beyond. Thank you. From the bottom of everything. Thank you.
Oh, and before we forget, we also have a Ko-Fi page.
Every like, view, or thumbs up already supports us enormously. And if you want to also support us financially, you can do it out Ko-Fi page. And listeners, the audio journey has been real. We started with Tortoise, TTS, bless it, bless the hours it took, bless the patience of everyone involved.
Several hours of generation time per episode in the early days.
Several hours indeed. And the quality was, look, it was what it was, and we loved it, and it was ours, and it was the beginning.
And now with F5 TTS, the improvement is genuinely substantial. The voice quality, the timing, the naturalness of the audio, DeZenzo made that transition happen. He makes everything on the technical side happen, while also being creative, while also sleeping remarkable hours.
We love and respect all of DeZenzo's hours, the productive ones and the horizontal ones.
If you want to support what he and we do, the Ko-Fi page exists. Every contribution, however small, goes directly toward keeping this podcast running and keeping DeZenzo in the level of coffee required to sustain his production schedule.
Which is a very specific level of coffee.
It is a non-trivial amount of coffee. The link will be in the description. Please, if you can, and if you want to consider it, it means a great deal. But for now, good night, everyone. Same time next week.
Same time next week.
Always. We'll see you next week.